You are watching The Horizon, the voice of the Amber Woman, exclusively on ABC Amber TV.
Mutumbu, mama yo, na ya boy go get her. Blue Jay Brothers. Mama you kind, mama you're beautiful, mama you good, mama you're wonderful. No woman like you, mama. No woman like you, mama. Thank God for you, mama. Thank God for you, mama. 'Cause you gave me life, oh mama. Queen of my life, oh mama. I go love you for life, oh mama. 'Cause you love me so, oh mama. From small begin, I never forget all the suffer when you suffer for me. Oh yeah, yeah. All the pain and the troubles where I put you through. I remember when money no be there and chop no be there for her. You be the try your best. You go run around to find us something where we go chop. When I dey sick, you know the sleep. You go the cry all night. You go hold me tight, start to pray, say God make you help my oh Lord. Ooh, I wo ye choma. Afunga na bere ye funga choma. Ambama na bere ye ambama choma. Enga na chinum ye ga choma. Mama, I wo ye choma. Afunga na bere ye funga choma. Ambama na bere ye ambama choma. Enga na chinum ye ga choma. Ye ga choma, mama. Enga na chinum ye ga choma. Chinum ye ga choma. Oh, ha. You gave me life, oh mama. Queen of my life, oh mama. I will love you for life, oh mama. 'Cause you love me so, oh mama. Hey, hey, are you there? Pina, no one there. Ale mama, ale mama, ale mama, shekelelelele. Ale mama, you're my motivation. You gave me the best education, mama. The song where I sing I'm for you, now it's special dedication to you. Oh yeah, I know say every night and day you pray say make a mama. The God where you the pray I'm for heaven done. Give me this inspiration, mama. The song where I sing I'm for you, now to show my appreciation to you. Be a warrior, choma. I funga na bere ya funga choma. I'm bombing na bere ya bomba choma. Ngana chinum ya ga choma. Mama warrior choma. I funga na bere ya funga choma. I'm bombing na bere ya bomba choma. Ngana chinum ya ga choma. Chinum ya ga choma. Chinum ya ga choma. Ya ga choma. You gave me life, mama, queen of my life, mama. I will love you for life. I will love you for life, 'cause you love me so, mama. You gave me life, mama, queen of my life, mama. I will love you for life, mama. 'Cause you love me so, oh mama, mama, selelelele, ale 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 mama. Oh, that's so. That's so. Mother's Day. That's so.
Welcome to The Horizon, the voice of the Amber Woman. Let me start by apologizing for the late start. We hope to do better next time. I want to greet everyone listening to this program, especially those who are on the home front, those who are in ground one, and fellow Ambazonians all over the world. Again, this is the voice of the Amber Woman, and we are staying the course. Today, I have with us, someone who is not new to the program, Dr. Winnie Lobadi, as our guest. And we have two important topics to talk about. The first one has to do with vaccination and or immunization. And people may ask, why is this important while we're at war? But please join the show, invite others, and you will understand why. The reason this particular topic became necessary for us at this time is because of the video we saw of the mother whose baby was vaccinated and had an adverse effect, and she cried out for help. And we know that other people will see this and ask questions. So we thought we should bring this subject today. The second topic is something we'll just briefly touch on, and it has to do with cultural diversity and peace. We came across a flyer of Dr. William Keir, and he had a presentation yesterday, the 16th of November, and he was going to talk about how cultural diversity can bring peace in Cameroon. So we'll briefly talk about that. But before I continue, I want to invite our guest, Dr. Winnie Lobadi, to say a couple of words to greet us, and we can proceed. Welcome to the Horizon, Ma Winnie. You look fabulous.
Thank you. So are you. You're also fabulous in our regalia, Amber regalia. Uh, Thank you again, my patients, for welcoming me and inviting me. Um, Fellow Ambazonians, fellow viewers, I just want to shout my hi to everyone. Thank you for being faithful in watching us while we're live and even after we're gone off the air, for following up to watch the horizon. I'm a woman, so I love to be in where we other women are. Um, Despite my other responsibilities. My responsibilities are just part of who I am, but as a woman is who I was created to be. So thank you, Mape, for inviting me again.
You are absolutely welcome. So we will talk about the first topic that has to do with um, vaccination or immunization. And to before we delve into it, I just want to inform people about, in general, Maweni, before I ask you some specific questions, that there are quite a few diseases that have been eliminated or eradicated because of vaccination, and that's why vaccination is very important. And uh, let me just ask you this question: what is vaccination in the first place? Before I talk about these diseases that have been eliminated, what is vaccination?
Vaccination actually is an injection that is given, or sometimes they are not injection, they may be oral, that is given to individuals or a patient or somebody, not only humans, even animals, are given to them so that the body builds what we call antibodies. The body now builds antibodies because you've introduced a very maybe minute dose of an of a disease. Majority of our vaccines are against viruses, majority, but not only.
Mhm.
But once you introduce a very small dose of either a weakened or a killed virus or whatever the thing that may be that we're using to we want to fight, the body now takes it. I'm not talking for pigeon. Yes, your body, if you did chop fine, if you be healthy, your body will take that small amount of something what we introduce them into you as and then start create try for fight and that particular thing where you don't introduce them. But when you do them, your blood get weight where it gets on soldiers. It go start recruit soldiers, build soldiers, make them a bit strong. We call them antibodies. And then that
Mhm.
antibodies now, it go be alert. It may produce on a certain amount. And then it go say, we don't recognize this thing, we don't enter whistle. Next time, if you come, will soldiers will go plenty and they go be ready for put you down. So the next time where you be exposed to that particular germs or virus or whatever, we don't immunize it, they'll say, we remember this. We remember say we will be done try for come here before and we'll be done fortify ourselves. Then they go and bring up more soldiers them now for fight the disease so may you not get the disease. So that's what for a nutshell in pidgin, nothing that way vaccinations that they do for our body. And before I even talk, before I let go further, vaccines are one of the most effective way to prevent disease for those diseases that we have found vaccines for or infections. They are one of the most effective way that we use to prevent diseases. It's not like I said, it's not only with human beings, it also extends to animals and if possible birds, so not just human beings.
So you just took the words out of my mouth, Winnie. When you say Mark, continue, I was just going to say that in our lives, we always use the expression prevention is better than cure, right? We always say prevention is better than cure. So vaccines are really there to prevent diseases, and they have been so amazing throughout history. There are two main diseases that have really been eradicated. Some people know about it, smallpox, although it's coming back a little bit, but it was one of those vaccines that have been eradicated worldwide because smallpox killed a lot of people, really killed a lot of people. And then Mawini also mentioned that not only people are immunized, also animals get vaccinated. So there was this vaccine illness called rinderpest, and which affected cattle. That one also has been eradicated. So those are the two that are documented with the World Health Organization of eradicated diseases. But Mawini, there are also some that are eliminated because they are still there. They are eliminated, but because of vaccination, the frequency or the severity has really reduced. I don't know whether you want to touch a little bit about some of those that have been eliminated, diseases that have been eliminated due to vaccination.
I think you talked about smallpox. Smallpox is the big one that we know about. And if you have the smallpox virus now, it's probably contained in a lab somewhere under
Mhm.
strict and tight condition where they hold them. And the reason for that you will have labs hold some of that is because of research. And if they ever needed to produce, I know one talk the one way people will call biological weapons, but also just for the fact that if in the future smallpox shows its ugly head again, then from what they have stored in the lab, they can use it quickly to develop vaccine. Because most of us were never really vaccinated against smallpox because it had been eradicated, so we never
Mhm.
experienced the vaccine. And so when they consider something having been eradicated, the need for vaccination of that particular disease is really no more. Just to talk about something else, my patients, something that has not been eradicated, but that had gone down, but they are seeing a rise is measles.
Yeah.
I was just reading on CDC website is the website is one of the major websites in America by the federal government, which is Centers for Disease Control. So I was looking and they were saying the global measles threat continues to grow, and they were telling us how much measles, how many people. I don't want to read that statistics now. Maybe we can touch on it later. So because many people were vaccinated, so the disease were was really kept down in check. But as more people start refusing to get that vaccine, then
Mhm.
it exposes more people now, where when they have an exposure, sometimes these diseases, I think the best way is to say some diseases are spread by just in the air. You breathe from
Mhm.
somebody else who is sick. There are many of those. Then some is by touch, some is by water, food, and we call some of them fecal oral, which means if somebody contaminated the water and you drink, and then some is by blood exposure and body fluid
Mhm.
exposure. There are varieties of ways, portal of entry, we call them portals of entry, where you can be exposed to diseases. And so some of these vaccines are really there to make sure that we keep those diseases in check. But when many people refuse to be vaccinated, then the
Mhm.
incidence of that particular, or the amount of people ma put on down, because this conversation it not be only for people where they want understand big book, but what may everybody know. So the number of people where they will get that disease, it go start to go up because more people they be denied vaccination.
So yeah, so you mentioned about measles, and I think I had measles when I was a child. I remember I was very, very sick as an infant. Also,
Okay.
there's chicken pox. There's chicken pox, my Winnie, and mumps. Mumps, remember mumps? Chicken
Yes.
pox, polio, and those are all illnesses, diseases that are reduced because of vaccination. Um, so let me go now to more specific questions that I had for you.
Mape, before you even go to
Yes.
the question, there are some diseases that if you get it once, you are immunized because you have had your own immunization by you being sick with with that disease, and then your body now develops the antibodies that we talk about. So let's not make as if only vaccination is the better way without you going through the disease. But there are some diseases that even if you get sick, and it mutates, the germs change it. Might use another way. Mutation is what we'll call in the scientific language, but when it comes to lay term, the germs, it plays on connect change how it do within them. They enter back for people because the people their skin not recognize it. I never really know
Hmm.
the one. Then they will be infected again. So there is also what, and then there is another way where we get immunization. It's for what we call passive immunization. And that can come through as a mother who has a baby and breastfeeds the baby. Not everybody can breastfeed, some by choice, some by other disease states that make them impossible for them to breastfeed. So, but babies get immunities passively sometimes when they are in the uterus and also when they breastfeed. Then there is another way that we get some immunization is if you have been exposed to something and they think a good example would be when people get bitten by rabid dogs or animals, or they are not so sure, you can go into the hospital and they'll give you what we call immune globulin, which contains that particular antibodies that will fight that disease. So we don't want to make it as if vaccinations are the only things. We need to talk
Hmm.
and be a little bit more, give people more information in a holistic manner. So if you breastfeed your pikin, first 6 months to 1 year, you're helping to get your child immunized passively with
Hmm.
whatever you have immunity against, that will help that your child to also be a baby to be protected from what they could be exposed to.
Thank
And
you
not
so
all.
much.
Yes.
Absolutely. So that's why that's one of the reasons they really advocate women to breastfeed their babies for at least 1 year. And I think our mothers back home do that extremely well. So we
Mhm.
already touched on why vaccination is important and why is the safest way to protect oneself and one's family. But Marwin, we're going to go now into specifics to talk about the schedule of vaccination for children. So please, I want you to talk about that because we want to really go back and find out why this baby that was affected by vaccination, what really went wrong, if at all we just want to talk about it. But please just share with the audience the schedule for vaccination for children.
Um, the WHO, which is World Health Organization, has they already have protocols for vaccination. They have this for global vaccination, and the United States also has um, protocols or what they call schedules for vaccination for different
Mhm,
age groups. WHO has it as well that way. But each country now using, because some things are endemic in some areas or on some parts of the world. So each country now will now design its own, but they have a template which WHO has put out. So the WHO, probably most African and third world countries would actually use the WHO schedule or protocol for vaccination.
mhm,
Before I go talking about the schedule, when I was a child, there was what we call PMI.
mhm.
That's where they used to take us to go get shots, especially before you the school age. You would my mom would take us to go get the shots, but after school age, only my younger siblings could go were taken there for that. But then at school, it was interesting that um, vaccines were given. You cannot do that today the way the way it was done. They just line us all up, carry us to preventive medicine, and then they just bam, give you the jab of the vaccination. Frequently, they did that to get for mass immunization. And if I remember, I also heard that in some of the villages on the days of market, when they had the market, the um, health workers who were to immunize would just come to the market as people very early. As people are coming, they just give them the jab of the immunization. But that was immunization without consent. Most of the people didn't even know what they were getting vaccinated for. But today, and this age, things have changed. So the schedule for vaccine is now put out for everyone to see. When we talk, like I will use the US as my greatest template. In the US, we have different age category from zero from birth to 6 years old, from 7 years to 18 years, then from 19 to adulthood, and including the older our age or elderly parents. So we have schedules designed, and there is also schedule for if your child missed some vaccines, there is also a schedule for catch up. So let me start with the zero to um, 1 to 6 years old. I think what is really critical and important is to understand what some of these diseases do. I remember
Mhm.
growing up, there was a child in one of our neighbors had a child. The child probably under one, but the child had measles and died. So I
Mhm.
also had know of other children that had measles, developed measles or meningitis, and they eventually got paralyzed or had other problems and they died. So there are
Yeah.
some things that the consequences, or what we say the sequela of some of these diseases, are terrible. So let's start with the 0 to 6 year old vaccines. In the US, the first vaccine that most infants will get is the hepatitis B. It's a
Mhm.
vaccine that at birth they give you. It comes, I think, in a series of 3 doses. So your first dose before you leave the hospital, the child is given the first dose of that vaccine. Let me again make it clear. Most often, before they do all this immunization in the US, they give you a literature, and they educate you and say, hey, here are the side effects. Here is what
Mhm.
you should expect because you're taking this vaccine. And if there is any problem, you can call this number. It's a government given number that you can call, and you can call your healthcare provider to say, hey, this thing is happening. And they tell you potential things that you should expect or that could happen, and the worst case scenario. So they don't only tell you the beauty of what it would do, they also tell you the worst case scenario, what this vaccine could, if it goes wrong, what it could do. But the percentage of it going wrong is most instances is less than 1%. So that's why mass and encouraging people to get immunized is really high. So hepatitis B is the first one that children, babies that are born will get. And then as they get to be 1 month, 2 months to 2 months, they could get their second dose. And then their third dose for that hepatitis B can come in anywhere between the 6th month to 18 months of age. However, if you don't know what hepatitis B virus does, you may not value
Mhm.
that vaccine. It's a
Exactly.
blood-borne disease that causes, eventually can cause liver cancer. There are various types of hepatitis. We have hepatitis A, C, B. B is blood-borne or blood fluids. So that's why they want the children to get that really early. Hepatitis A, on the other hand, is fecal oral. It also has a vaccine. Hepatitis C doesn't have a vaccine yet, but A and B already have vaccine. This um, for in America, by the time they introduce hepatitis A, it's actually much later when when they think that the child can start eating food and can start eating out, and it's no longer breastfeeding. They can, and that comes in 2 doses. And some of these vaccines need to be renewed. There is something else. When your vaccine, it could wane, it could, the effectiveness could reduce over time. Then they would give
Mhm.
booster, what we call booster doses. Then another vaccine that is common in America that is on the schedule is, they call it the rotavirus vaccine. That, for a
Mhm.
time, they had issues with that. They pulled it off the market, then they brought it back. But it is around the 2nd month that they will get the first dose, and then you can go to the second dose by 4th month. Then we have this one is really important, is the diphtheria,
Mhm.
tetanus, and pertussis. If you
Mhm.
remember to what they call and say whooping cough, oh, oh,
Mhm.
people they cough. This is the vaccine that will prevent that. And then you hear about, hey, when man get wounded, they say, hey, you know, one get tetanus. You
Mhm.
go, they
Mhm.
give you a booster. That is, and then diphtheria. Diphtheria too is another one that they give this together. It's a combination. So some of these vaccines, you could have 2 or 3 vaccines put together and given in one shot. So for children under that age, so it goes all the way, they end up getting, for that one, they get up to 5 doses before the age, by the age 6. Children will have all the different uh, times. I don't want to go there because we have many vaccines to talk about. Then we have another one that is called Haemophilus influenza type B. That one too is given by the age of 2 months. So don't be surprised if you find a mother going to this 2 months well check, they end up with about 5 vaccines. They give that picking 5 vaccines on that day. Most often they'll say, if they're hot or the war, give them some Tylenol drops to help bring down pain and the fever. And so their 2nd month of life and their 4th month of lives of babies and infants can be really packed with a lot of vaccines that are given. So you have pneumococcal vaccine. That also causes pneumococcal infection, which will affect people, and they end up having, most often they end up in the hospital. Then we have polio. Sometimes many people don't realize polio is, some of these may be oral, may be given orally. They are not
Mhm.
always given by shot. Some of these for infants, like I think the polio was the oral, most often were given orally for infants.
Yeah.
And then the polio, the polio, I think polio is about, most of them are inactivated viruses. They are up to 4 doses by the time they get to be 6 years old. So to be honest, when you have a baby from birth, before they get to be 6 years old, assuming they are in school, they are vaccinated with, so they carry so many vaccine. They are immunized with so many vaccination that helps them, prepare them to
Mhm.
get into that world, and they are protected because they'll start meeting other kids. They'll be in school, they'll interact with other adults that are not within their family circles. So there is a good reason for this. Of course, we have I'll skip the one first. I'll come influenza vaccine. They give it for
Mhm.
children 6 months and older. And
Mhm.
influenza is one of those things. When I be here, when I say, hey, when I not give me influenza. People were saying this, I didn't know, but influenza is a seasonal. It's a seasonal infection, and it can lead to pneumonia. And many people do die. We're talking about
Yes.
tens of thousands of people. So in America, and why do they have to give it annually? They give it annually. Why? Because this particular influenza, now one of those ones that I said, they change how they come,
Mhm.
and they mutate, and they change and they get conifaction. Ma put and so their conifaction is so common that every year they have to see which one will be common. And the scientists, the way they develop this, they go across the world in different parts and see how some of these viruses are mutating and changing, and then they bring it to the lab to make the vaccine that will be appropriate for the year that the season starts. I think for us in the northern hemisphere, or especially those of us who are in the temperate areas, we have our vaccines for flu, probably starting somewhere around September. Why people in the southern hemisphere who have winter months, but in around June and other, they will have their own vaccine schedule for the year differently. For us in North America and parts of maybe Mexico and whatnot, we get ours in the from September upward. The others
Yeah.
will get it at a difference depending on what hemisphere you fall under. Then we have measles. My patients mentioned this, mum and rubella. That's
Mm.
another. You will hear people say they get big mouth and waiting,
Mhm.
and swelling. Those things. Some of these are so bad that they will even sterilize your male son. Some of your male sons may
Mhm.
contract diseases that they end up becoming sterile, and even when they
Mhm.
get into adulthood, they cannot produce children. And sometimes our culture don't be say a woman not born, it means say now you get problem. Some of this could be even as a result of the man, and it could have been because your son contracted one of these diseases and it made them infertile as they
Mhm.
got adulthood. So the importance of the vaccines cannot be underestimated. All right, from measles, mumps, and rubella, between the age 12 months to 15 months, they'll get the first dose, and the second dose will be around 4 to 6 years of age. Then varicella, that what they call and say chicken pox.
Box.
Chicken pox. That one, most people, you can get an immunity just by having that. But let me caution, why we get that and get immunity later in our older years. as we get older, way past maybe 50, 60, 70. Some people get something that we call shingles as their immune system goes down. For older adults, there's another vaccine that is used to help them. What the chickenpox virus does, while you may be sick of chickenpox, you get over it, the virus they go hide for under some nerves them, some your nerves, and they can stay there. They may never come back up again. But if they do come because your immune system is weak, or you have problems, or you are very sick, it can come and it's very painful. At that time they no longer call it chickenpox, they call it shingles. So there are vaccines too to help with shingles. But you better just get you the vaccine. To be honest, some of these vaccines only came up much, maybe they're less than 25 years that some of these vaccines have been on the market. But then hepatitis A, we mentioned that most of that you can start it at the age of 12, probably because the child has started eating. Then meningococcal. Meningitis is very common in our back at home, and especially in the sub-Saharan Africa, especially around, I think, the dry season months into January, February. The meningitis is kind of very common around that time. But there's a vaccine too for meningitis. If you there for a place where they get preventive medicine, you can find out so you can give your child. I mean, these are diseases that can really make your picking paralyzed. What I am worried, my patients, just to interject here, that child that was given the vaccine and they became paralyzed, could it have been that this child already had meningitis, was already exposed to meningitis? Or was what kind of vaccine? We don't know. So we cannot really um, definitely say this is what caused that. All the mother know is that my child was immunized, and then following up that the child became
I think
paralyzed.
we have the video. We'll play it later on, and then we can talk about it some more.
Okay. So there
Yeah.
is that. Those are the major. Then we have the pneumococca. We have two different types of pneumococca. We have in America we have a conjugate and we have what we call a polysaccharide. One they all carry different quantities of different subgroups of the meningococca of the pneumococca. Um, some of them would cover 13 strands. That's why they'll put them. This is 13 Prevnar, 13 whatever, 23, and I think there's a newer version too that's on the market. So um, we already covered the 0 to 6 briefly, just in a nutshell. I think my patients, to really do people a good service, would be for us to come and tell what what these vaccines do, how the diseases that these vaccines prevent, how do they present themselves. I will employ you to uh, bring in Dr. Yaya to help, so that she
Yes.
talks about how this manifests itself, and so that will be on a separate show, because
Okay,
we
sure.
cannot exhaust
Yes.
that here today. We're just talking about prevention today. So,
Absolutely.
my patients, we've talked about predominantly how the U.S. would program or schedule vaccines for children at birth to 6 years of age. And mind you, in the U.S., most children are required to get their immunization before they go to school.
It's good.
And some school districts will not accept children if they refuse to have immunization. But also, there's also a push of some parents who don't want to. They're anti-vaccination. They don't want their children. So we've had outbreaks, especially of measles, in different pockets of parts in America as a result of low immunization in those areas. And because of that low immunization, then you have an outbreak of measles that affects now more children than should have.
So, Winnie, before you continue, while you were talking and explaining how some of these uh, diseases have been deadly over time, I just went online to just remind people about the influenza. That back in history, there have been three different periods where influenza
Mhm.
has had really an epidemic that has really pandemic probably that had wiped populations. So I'll just read this briefly. Three worldwide pandemic outbreaks of influenza occurred in the 20th century in 1918, in
Mhm.
1957, and in 1968. The later two were in the era of modern virology and most thoroughly characterized. All three have been informally identified by their presumed sites of origin as Spanish, Asian, or Hong Kong influenza. So basically, the influenza really killed thousands and thousands of people. Look at what happened with COVID. That was a pandemic. We're just there minding our business, and then COVID hit, and millions of people died. So that's why we're saying that immunization, vaccination is important. And since the COVID vaccine came into existence, it really, really decreased substantially the number of deaths. And you're right, Winnie, there are some people there that do not believe in vaccination. And unfortunately, most of those that are dying are those who did not get themselves vaccinated against COVID. I mean, recently. Okay, Mawini, and then you mentioned about meningitis. I just want to add that a lot of college-bound kids uh, also have to get
Required.
this vaccination because they live in close quarters, and that's how it's
Mhm.
really spread. Just to add to that. Okay,
Yep.
um,
There, I think
let's
my
talk about.
patient.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. I think as you talk, I was even going to touch about the one about college students. Some require things because some of them live in dorms, but it's required. You're right. There are also some vaccinations that are required for college students before they get into college.
Yeah, and then another recent vaccine. I don't want to. You want to touch this briefly? You said some of these vaccines just came up within the last few years. Is the one against HPV?
Yes, yes.
Yes. You want to touch that one briefly before we move on?
Yeah, I think I was gonna touch it when I capture the next age group
Okay, then
of.
why don't you just go to the next age group? Yes,
Okay,
just go to the
so
next age group.
the next age group will be the 7 to 18 years, and there, remember, like I said, some of these vaccines, they wane or they decrease in effectiveness over time. Let me pause here and say something. Sometimes some vaccines, if you can, let's say you left Amazonia, came to America, or you went to Europe, and you have no vaccination record, and
Mhm.
which many parents did not know that those records were important to keep because they may need it. Your child may need it one day. Then what they do is they send you to a lab and they draw your blood and they do what we call titers. Those
Mhm.
titers, it will expose um, some of the vaccines it's not for every vaccine that they may be able to draw a titer, but the ones that they already have the ability in the lab to dictate if your body has been exposed to the disease, or the or has the titer. They will do that, and based on the amount of antibodies that you have in your titer, they'll be able to say whether you've had the disease or it has waned down. Remember, I said some of these over time they fade because maybe you never get the disease, you never expose yourself to the disease. Your body not remember, say, hey, more who call it the soldier the way they be the sleep. Well, we don't tell them, say, okay, una be reserve soldier, una go, you don't wait. They will need una we go call una. Then over time, they sleep, they not be remember for woke up because they not be get work for do. So what we do is we give now what we call booster doses. So let's go to the age group of 7 to 18. So one of this that are required is what we call now. We talked about um, diphtheria, tetanus, and pertussis. We also have another. Now we call it uh, DAP. The other one we call it DTAP, or now we call this, yes, DTAP. Now we are calling this one TTAP. We kind of play on it acronyms. But this now, it's a booster dose for children as they get into ages where they need to get, they are in school already, maybe in middle school. So their first dose is a booster dose of what they had had as um, children, younger children, because they know it's waning up. So between the age of 12, they'll give you the Tdap, which is tetanus, because that tetanus is assumed that every 10 years you need a booster. So they will give you tetanus, diphtheria, and acellular pertussis. That acellular just means now one way they don't move parts of the virus itself from inside the virus and make it so that may not cause disease. Technically, vaccines should not and will not cause diseases. Let's put that clear. Then the one way my patients was just on it, the human papilloma virus, and that one is new. When they just came out with that virus, with that vaccine, it's it was mainly for girls, but eventually, and what was the purpose? It was to help protect girls against uterine cancer, because they realized that um, women, let me say females, ended up having this as a result, as with the increase in knowledge, they realized that the virus where they cause the some of these cancers are they are basically viruses. So the culprit for that was human papilloma virus. So what they did was, they first initially, when it came new on the market, it was for girls. They wanted to catch them before they got at the age where they will be sexually active. So it started, I think, 9 to 13 initially, and then 9 years, it was a minimum age that they could give them. And then so they moved on um, now to have 12 to 11 to 12 years old. Sometimes it's catch up because some of them never got the vaccine, so they'll give them. So but the goal is, I think that vaccine gets 2 doses, if I'm right. Initially, some of these vaccines, they start and they say it's one is good for life. Then they realize that it's waning off. Remember, I said I be talk say sometimes the you know the soldier, the way they're supposed to do the work, they go to sleep and then they sleep now if we woke up, then they go realize and say, no, we need to give more. So then they added another booster. So the human papilloma virus, for they say, depending on where it is, you can get 2 or 3 in the series. So
Yes.
at this point, boys, your male sons are also allowed to get human papilloma virus, because most of that virus, they are carried through sexual intercourse. So if the men have the virus, the likelihood of them passing it to their wives or girlfriends later, and that can predispose them to some of these um,
Cancer.
cancers that we don't want. So that one is really targeting cancer. And may I say, hepatitis A and B also, they are targeting cancer, because you can get exposed to hepatitis B and hepatitis A and hepatitis C. Most people may recover from the active initial disease. It could just be like you get some fever. For some people, then they start saying, hey, you see, it be jaundice. Oh, it get yellow. Remember, we call yellow fever. What we call yellow fever is not what scientists called yellow fever. So
Mhm.
you say, hey, that man, you see, his skin all yellow, he eye the yellow. So those are signs of exposure to a hepatitis, most often virus. And some of them you could have that because you have other blockages of some of your organs that lead to you being jaundiced. So what happens is we these some of these viruses, you may get over it, but long term down the line, you may get to develop a cancer. It may be liver cancer in this case of the hepatitis family. They may develop. It's not like everybody would develop it, but about a 30% of the people that get the disease may develop that. So let's move on. So we move on. Now we have meningococcal. There by the age, we already had some that were getting a different type by at 12 months, 9 months, and then 2 months. And then there's a booster that they will get at the age of 11 to 12. And by the age of 16, they will get another dose. Then the
Mhm.
meningococcal, for this age group, the meningococcal B, they are not getting it because I think they already got that. Let me see if it was in the first group, meningococcal. They had it early on in that 0 to 6. But as you go on later, they may have different types. So, but let's move on. Um, One thing I have been holding back and I've not been talking is the COVID-19 vaccine. COVID-19 vaccine, there's a recommendation for this age group. But when it comes to children, um, they kind of said they kind of left it open. They said one you can get 1 or 2 doses of the virus. But they kind of left it open, and I think it's the minimum age that they wanted or that they were recommending was 6 months, so you could get it, and then you for ages 6 months through 4 years, you could get the two-dose
Mhm.
series. For ages 5 years, um, 1 dose of Moderna or two-dose series of the Pfizer uh, um, one. So depending on which vaccine they were using, it would determine and the age group what how many they got. Then for
Doses.
6 years old, if it was Moderna or Pfizer, they got 1 dose. That's for those 0 to 6 years. But then now it comes to the age of 7 to 18. Um, they also are recommended 1 to 2 doses of the COVID-19. I want to pause here before I even continue. COVID-19 infection has not been eradicated. Let's get that clear. Let's make
Mhm.
it clear. COVID-19 infection is still alive and well. It is not as bad as it was at the beginning of 2019, 2020, 2021, up to 2022. What happened was because of the vaccination that was given, many people now built some immunity, and some people got the disease and built some immunity. This is
Mhm.
a virus, and this is an infection that we we are still studying it as we are going. We are changing and adjusting and making changes. The scientific community and the medical community, they continue to adjust and change and make recommendations. That's why you will see, okay, the first time it was 2 doses. You get your first dose, get your second dose is fine. Then they say, oh, we don't get some new variant means say that virus, it don't make honey change. Take for other clothes, wear am for his skin, so that if he enter for go do harm again, then they'll say, oh, we don't make a vaccine that way, it go take care of this new one. And as more variants come up, they continue. But all the variants are not as virulent. Or let me you break them down. All the variants, the way that they come, they not be as bad at the same level. Some they be more, they will cause more disease and more impact than the others. So every now and then you go hear say new COVID vaccine don't come. I think
Mm-hmm.
we are accepting the fact that COVID vaccine is going to be like the flu vaccine.
Flu
But
vaccine.
unlike the flu vaccine, we have a season for the flu. But COVID is all the time. So you don't have a particular season where COVID say, now my only time this one I go act, now my only time this one I will attack people, and then the other time I'll leave them. So no, we don't have that with COVID-19 yet. So what am I saying? I'm putting my two
Mhm.
cents here to appeal. If you can get the vaccine, at least the first two vaccines, try and get it. Okay. Then we go back to influenza. Like we said, influenza for from 6 years to 100 years, we recommend that you get a vaccine every year. So that will so it will not exclude this age group. Then we have another one, pneumococcal vaccine. They have the CV-15 and CV-20. This one is usually also sometimes they will be given as a result of people having not had any of the vaccine, but you or it may be your first time, or you may be may have had it, and then it would depend on whether you had it before. So but there are two different, there are more than two, let me not say only two. You have like I said, there was the one or the 13 valent. When you give it, they'll say wait 6 weeks, and then you can get the 15 valent or the 20 valent, or you can get and then the 23 valent. It's also there. So that just depends on the number of pneumococcal conjugates or types that they can prevent you from. So there is a time period in between these vaccines, and that minimum that is given and allowed before you can take the second dose. So going back, we have the pneumococcal 23. We already mentioned that. Then the
Mawili, I want to interrupt you just a moment. This pneumococcal vaccine you're talking about, for what age group are you talking about? You talking for adults or
oh no, we have the it ranges from um the 7 to 18 years group. They
okay,
also have
the
pneumococcal
babies?
vaccines for themselves,
Okay.
for even including the babies. So what they
Mm-hmm.
really do here is, in this age group, you will have to go back and look. Did you get any vaccine while you were in that 0 to 6 years? And what
Mm-hmm.
type? Then before they start deciding whether you need a vaccine or you don't need it. So some of these are dependent on what had happened within your 0 to 6 years old and what type you got.
Good.
And then we move on. Um, then we can move on to the Haemophilus influenza B. Again, that will also depend whether you had gotten that or your hepatitis A or your hepatitis B. If you had not had any of those, in this age group, they will definitely give you. Otherwise, there's really no targeted timing for them, but they will give you based on, and you must follow the period between each dose. So the polio as well, that's the same thing. Measles, mumps, and rubella, they're hoping that you had this. The varicella, they're hoping that you had already had it. There is another one that is it's called
Mm-hmm.
the dengue vaccine. Some
Mm-hmm.
of
Against the
these are
dengue flu.
very unique to some geographic locations or parts of the world. But for this age group, 9 to 16 years of age, it is recommended that they too, if they are um, seropositive in endemic areas only. So then some of these are also dependent. Are you in an endemic area, or do you come or did you migrate from an endemic area? So some of these will be given or not given based on um, what happened. So there is something that we also call catch up. Catch up catch-up immunization is just dependent on what you miss when you were between 0 and 6 years old. Then they can design a new schedule for you as in this age group, how to catch up and get all the immunizations that you need. Um,
What?
like we talked
Okay,
about. Yes, go ahead.
I was going to say you've really captured a lot for that age group from birth to 18 years old. Because of time, I just want you to go and talk briefly about adults, vaccination
Okay,
for adults, and then we'll talk about travel vaccination and touch about that video for that child in a minute or so. So, what
thank you.
vaccination should adults be getting?
First of all, we when we want to classify adults, we our young adults of the 19 years to 26, and then we'll go from 27 to 49, and then 50 to 64 and greater than 65. They also have their schedule, so they all get lumped in that adulthood. So
Mm-hmm,
the influenza vaccine, we already talked, everybody gets it annually. It's
mm-hmm,
from 6 months and above, and you get one dose. Okay, then you move to the tetanus. For tetanus vaccine, every pregnant woman, um after each pregnancy, you're supposed to get the Tdap. We talked about that. It's a booster. While if you are not pregnant, or you never had a pregnancy, we give you every 10 years. But when you are pregnant, that rule doesn't follow anymore. You have to,
mm-hmm,
after each pregnancy, even if the pregnancy ended up with miscarriage, even if it ended up in an abortion, or you carried it full term, they will give you that vaccine after the that pregnancy is over. Then measles, mumps, and rubella. Again, this is the this is also dependent. You will get 1 or 2 doses. The rule they say is, if you were born in 1957 or later, then depending. So there is a catch there. They're assuming that some of the people who had measles, mumps, and were already exposed at a certain age. But for that group, it's 1 to 2 doses, depending on when you were born. 1 or 2 doses. So varicella, if you were born in 1980 or later, you get 2 doses. If you were born If you are 50 years and older, they recommend 2 doses. But guess what, my patients? The 2 doses now is not the varicella vaccine that the others are getting. Now it is you call them shingrets, to help with the shingles. So this age group now gets a different vaccine that
mm-hmm,
helps them to protect them, because they're assuming that you would have had some exposure if you're over 50 years to
mm-hmm,
chickenpox or varicella um, infection at some point. But for those who are younger, if you were born after 1980, from 1980 and later, you are considered different. They'll give you two doses of the varicella vaccine itself. Then there is the one that I was talking about, the older adults that get that. It's called Zoster, the Zoster vaccine. And then when it comes to the human papilloma virus, anybody who is over 50 years, they don't forget about when I know they take that vaccine. Now, only those who are under 50, or 45 years actually, they could get that. So 2 or 3 doses, depending on the age and their initial vaccination. So depending on when you were first vaccinated on the human papilloma, you might get a second, or you might get 2, or you might get 3 doses. We've already talked about the pneumococcal Again, it talks again about pneumococcal. Many of the older adults did not probably have this pneumococcal. Then we talk about, is it pneumococcal PVC 15 or is it 20 or 23? These cover different variants or different types of the pneumococcal um, bacteria that would infect or virus that would cause the infection. So that age group too, it's allowed for them to have basically all adults if you can get it, but there are specific ones for different age groups, especially the older adults, where you get it, you get one at a certain age, and you will get a second one, and that's for life. They will not give you again unless they come up with a new research that allows them to get another one. But
Right.
for now, that's how it is. Hepatitis uh, A and B. Everybody, if you every age group, if you've not been really exposed or you've never received it, they will recommend it, and you follow the three to get the 3 or 4 doses, depending on how if you've had it or before you or never had it. Meningococcal, it's 1 or 2. Some of these now are dependent. You will realize that we're talking about this catch up. Some of these are really playing into the catch up. Some of it is because some people travel and they came from backgrounds where they never had the vaccine and now they are in a place where they can get the vaccine. So how does the doctor who is assessing them do? They will look. If you don't have the records, they make the and you don't know, then they assume you never had, and they will start it from zero. The Haemophilus influenzae as well. Um, that too is another one for this age group. So the age group, some of us will get some things because we never had them as children. Others will not get them in this age group because they had covered them in the previous 2 age
Hmm.
schedule. My patients, let's talk something here about some people who have allergies to like eggs, especially when it comes
Hmm.
to people who are. I When I was growing up, I never heard anybody say they were allergic to eggs. Did you?
Not at all. Even
I
peanuts.
have
It's only
one.
when we came to the United States, though.
Yeah, I have a
Yeah.
friend who doesn't eat eggs. I don't think it's because she's allergic. She just has an
Hmm.
evasion for eggs and
Hmm.
doesn't eat. But
Hmm.
so there are some things that some vaccines that when they develop them and they grow them and they are producing them, they have them in they grow them in eggs. So
Hmm.
people who are allergic, a good example will be the flu vaccine. So if they're allergic to eggs, they will probably not take those vaccines. So
So,
we don't want.
Winnie, there's some recent studies now that it really depends the severity of your allergy. If you
Thank
have
you. That's it.
anaphylaxis where you really
That
have
is
difficulties
correct.
breathing, and then that's the case where you can have immunization at your doctor's office where they have EpiPen ready. But in
Yes.
the local community pharmacies, they are beginning to give those who have just regular allergy that they may have hives and all the like. They are giving them those vaccines now. They are getting them at local pharmacies here.
There is something else that may put some people. There is Guillain-Barré syndrome, which is um, sometimes it's as a
Yes.
result of
Mhm.
of of even the flu vaccine. So some people have had developed what they call Guillain-Barré syndrome. It actually literally paralyzes them. And
Mhm.
some of them, what they will do is they will just avoid doing flu vaccine anymore. Or, like you said, they may actually have to um, within and actually for them to define it and make sure that they can characterize that it was as a result. It will be about 6 weeks from when you had the vaccine that they will look at that and to analyze or assess and see if you had that, and also then in the future they can start assessing risk versus benefit for you as the individual if you've had Guillain-Barré in the past. I remember when the COVID-19 came out, some of the people with a history of Guillain-Barré were a little bit eerie about getting the COVID vaccine, but they encouraged them, and some of them took it and they had no problem.
Okay.
Okay.
Go ahead. I just wanted to say
No,
maybe
go
we
ahead.
can move. So I want us to touch that. I don't know if the video is ready for that baby that we saw, because I want you to talk a lot about that, because it's really something that we can come up with some suggestions on how we think immunization should be carried out in our regions,
My
knowing
name is
that
Nzalembeke Ivolim. I am from the northwest region of Cameroon. It was on the 13th of April 2023. I took my child to a Bomi hospital, Kribi, for vaccination. She was given yellow fever vaccine. She was 9 months, 3 weeks. Immediately after the vaccine, she became unconscious. She was then rushed to pediatric gynecology hospital in Douala, where a series of tests were conducted on her. After everything, doctor came and told us that her brain is damaged, she is blind. In fact, the child is paralyzed from head to toe. We were so frustrated. We were so broken in heart. My husband left and went to Yaoundé to the Ministry of Health. He cried out to them, please, this is what has happened to my daughter. You people should do something. Oh, my husband brought a proposal. Please help and take this child abroad. Following the proposal my husband made to them, the government of Cameroon said, yes, okay, we will do something. After 4 months of serious pressure to them from my husband, they sent us to India. They told us that as we arrived in India, they are going to send the money for the baby's treatment. We stayed in India for 1 month. They did not send us any money. No accommodation, no feeding. We were living at the mercy of the hospital. They treated our child for 1 month without seeing 1 franc from the Cameroon government. After 1 month, the hospital said, no! Tell the government to send this money. The baby needs this money for her treatment. The child's condition is so good. The brain damage is so much. It's so severe. This child needs a long-term treatment. My husband started writing back. He even wrote to the Minister of Health, to the immunization department, crying out to them, what is happening? Please provide the baby with money for her treatment. Doctor is saying that this child needs further treatment. After everything, the immunization department sent a token of money, which that money could not even go anywhere with the child's treatment. That is how we were abandoned, we were frustrated in India. We have to return back because there is no money. My husband does not have a job. There is no way income is entering us. We were so stranded. My husband lost his job because of this. Our only source of income, he lost it because of this, and then the government of Cameroon is saying nothing to this situation. I am back home, this is my house, and I am saying that let the government produce my child. They should give me back my child in her normal condition. This is the baby. Take a good look at this child. Look at this baby very well. If I am not there to support this child 24 on 24, 7 on 7, the child is helpless on her own. If I cannot support her like this, she will fall here. How are we going to do it? How are we going to start it from here? We are abandoned by the government of Cameroon. We don't have funds. My husband doesn't have a job anymore. I need my baby. I need my child in a normal condition. I need my baby.
thank you so much. Yeah, Mawini, um,
Yeah,
over to you.
that's really difficult to watch that video and to hear the heart of that mother. Did I catch it? How old was that baby when the was it 6 months or 9 months?
9 months. I think I got 9 months.
Okay, which falls in that minimum age range where they could get yellow fever. The question I
Yeah.
I have is why were they getting yellow fever vaccine? Most often, yellow fever vaccine is a travel immunization.
You know,
I did not know that that was part of their vaccine recommendation.
regimen. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I mean,
so
the website, the World Health Organization recommends it for travel and for people living in areas where yellow fever is predominant. So, do we still have
which
yellow
will be
fever
Africa
in our
and
area?
South,
Yeah, in
where the
Africa.
virus Africa would be and South America.
Hmm. Hmm.
Hmm.
And it's from 9 months and older, really.
Yeah, yeah, nine
Yeah.
months. So if they give the child at 9 months, the other problem that we have is yes, the vaccine was they said yellow fever. So one thing she knew was the vaccine. She knew the name of the vaccine that was given to her
Hmm.
child.
Hmm. Hmm.
Many times, you know how they say doctors scribble. You don't know what is written on that chart. You just know it's
Hmm.
something. And most of our
Hmm.
people are not health literate, meaning that they don't understand because the healthcare providers back home in general do not take time to explain to people what is going on with them or
Yeah.
what they are
Yeah.
given or what the possible side effects. They just assume. And even the private clinics come in, a majority of the private clinics, it's a business. They're private,
Hmm.
the compassion for what needs to be done to take the time to explain to the patient or the parent of the patient what is happening and what needs to be done, and sometimes even show them that hey, here's the lab results we have, and when they don't do
Mawini,
that, yes,
Mawini, I want to say this, that I think we have a culture of God complex where people think that if there's a doctor right there, whatever the doctor is doing is good for me. And so the doctor feels that I don't need to share information to people that are less educated, that
yeah,
they should just believe in me. I think
yeah.
our people should be educated to start asking questions. I don't care whether your mama that is from the village that didn't go to school to class 7 or the like. We need to educate our people to start asking questions. Whatever they are putting in your baby's body, you need to be told exactly. Mawini, I don't know. You and I had this conversation. I'm going to say something that I don't know whether you think it's possible. I think our people should start taking pictures. Even those who do not, most mama then they get cell phone. Everybody has a cell phone, they can take picture. When you go to the hospital, take a picture of the vial. We need to enforce this. Let them take a picture of the vial of what they're going to inject into their baby's body. Take a snapshot because, of course, they don't know how to write, they don't have no names. At least you take a picture of that before they draw it out and give the baby. At least you know exactly what was given to the baby. I don't know whether you see that this as a possibility. Let's explore this and see how this could be done.
You are absolutely correct. There's a possibility of that, but there is, there is this hierarchy, like you're saying. Those who are in the healthcare, they are, and those who are the patients who have no knowledge of the healthcare, uh, feel subservient, and so when they come, everything, the
Yeah.
information flows down, and as it flows from up to down, they find it difficult to ask questions. We've not been educated to ask questions. We've not been educated to seek and ask, okay, doctor, you said this and you said this. I am sick with this. So, what are the options that I have that I can use for us to treat this? What are the options? And if you give me option A, and what are the possible side effects? Option B, what are the possible side effects? All our people know is they don't talk say I get this and I need na this kind of money, especially when it comes to surgery, and they want to operate and they need 2 million for operate. So all you are worried is I am sick. I need to go find the money to pay for the operation or pay for the hospital stay. And our people is not. We don't have health insurance. Maybe those who work in who work in some offices do, or some entities. I'll use that, and organizations may have health insurance, but by and large, our healthcare is not one that uh, it's covered by a third party. It's usually the individuals and the families that bring cough up the money to pay for their health. So if you are going to be paying for your health, of course, for children under, some of these vaccines are made available as gifts to
Mm-hmm.
the third world and on the developed countries, so that they can immunize children and young infants and children. But eh, I'm talking like this because I feel for that mother. She doesn't know. She doesn't. To be honest, let's start with the first simple thing. My chance, you do immunize, and when people come to you for when people come to you for immunization, you have a form that you give them.
Mm-hmm.
They fill that
Yes.
form. You ask, have you been sick? Have you had a fever? Have you have a
Mm-hmm.
temperature? And that. So all this, they are screening you to see if today is the right day for you to get this vaccine. And they will even ask, have you ever had a reaction to a vaccine in the past? So that equips them and prepare them even further to know that, hey, I may be, this patient may react to this vaccine. I should be ready if that's the case. If I'm giving an EpiPen, if I'm calling 911, which is what we use in America to get the ambulance and emergency service to come quickly. So we have other things, but nobody really takes time to do that screening. Your pikin don't sick, or your pikin don't get running stomach, or your pikin don't dey
Mm-hmm.
vomit, or your they don't ask, they just give vaccine. Okay, you don't
Mm-hmm.
come, that's time for they
Mm-hmm.
give it. Sometimes you are giving it on a child who is sick and doesn't, and their
Holistic.
immune system is already down. So you
Yeah.
expose something into that child, especially if it's a live vaccine, because
Mm-hmm.
vaccines come in different types. You have the live, you have the attenuated, you have the acellular, and you have the inactive vaccine that is not a live vaccine. So there are various types of vaccines. So if you introduce something into somebody who already has a live vaccine into somebody who has a weak immune system, or they are immune compromised for whatever reason, be it disease or because they are under some medications that suppress their immune system, then you likely exposing them to contract
Definitely.
that disease, even from the
Yeah.
vaccine that you were intending to do good. It can become, so there is a lot of things that cannot be. If that happened in America, there would have been immediate
Mm-hmm.
investigation of that vaccine, because
Exactly.
part of the paper and the literature that we give parents or patients, and their parents, if they are minors, it's that paper that is printed talking about that specific vaccine that you're getting, and what happens and what is possible. But it starts with the screening. If you do not do appropriate screening, and in doing that screening, then you educate them, and then you give
Yeah.
them that literature that they take home with them. So there's a lot of failure in our systems. That people just come, they say, you need this today, Pam. You show your hand, they give the jab. Or for children on their thigh, when they give it, they just give it. So we don't we need to step up our being taking um our health also into our hands, even when we go into the healthcare setting, by asking questions. But to be honest, why we will propose that they should take pictures, many times they just come with that syringe and the needle already. It's been drawn. It
So
may not have been.
this is where you are right, Mawili. This is where education comes into play, because you said a lot of things that happen here in the developed world, where even after you get the vaccine, you know exactly what was given to you, because they give you the information. They give you the name of the vaccine, they give you the lot number, they give you the expiration
Mhm.
date. You know all those things. So that
And
if
the
something goes
manufacturer.
wrong at the manufacturer, something goes wrong, it's easy to be able to tell what happened, exactly it was, and document it, and then get reparations, get treatment, and all the like. In our case
Yes.
back home, and I've not been there for a long time to know exactly the procedure. I assume, and it says it's not good to assume, but I would think that, I don't know if these parents, want they get the vaccination, whether they have in the books, written in the books, documented that they got this particular vaccine and this was a lot number and it expired. We have vaccination cards back home. We used to have
Mhm.
vaccination cards that have details. Are they still doing all of that? Because the conversation we're having, that if they are not doing it, mommy them, papa them, you must, when you ever get those vaccinations, have that information filled out. Sometimes you're getting people that are getting vaccinations that have expired, because they don't know any different. They just go to the hospital and they are vaccinated, or may have been expired vaccines. So how do we protect our people? That's why we are fighting for our own Ambazonia, really, because when we get to Ambazonia, we will take the model that is in the developed world and even impress upon it, do things better. That's why we are fighting for our country. Because right now we don't know what is happening to our people. We don't know.
My chance, I think even worse still is the one where people go and pay for vaccinations, but they don't get the vaccination, and they stamp and write it in a card. It's a deal.
Yes, yes,
That is so common.
yes.
And that is even worse than, at least we see this child, we know they got something. The question is, did they get the infant dose or did they get the adult dose? Did they get the right vaccine and said it was something else? Or was somebody doing a research and they gave the child something else? We cannot speak. We cannot know, but we
Yeah.
just know this is what we see. This mom says they got yellow fever. At least she knew that it was yellow fever. And the child immediately reacted. And the other question is,
Immediately.
when was it just one vaccine that was given to that child on that day, or they were given multiple vaccines? Because sometimes when you have multiple vaccines and you have a reaction, you might not be able to tell. But sometimes, like, remember when I was doing the infant on the age, the 4 month age, 2 months and four, they had a whole series of many vaccines that they were taking. Most of these have been tested over time and they know that they are safe together. But what happens if you have a child that would develop some reaction to one of those, and they've had many of those series? It would Investigation would just keep going on. You will not be able to pinpoint, except some of the side effects. They will have to look at which one has what side effect that could quickly be the one that they could zoom on. But you may never know. This mother is frustrated. This mother is challenged. Their daughter is in a condition that, like she said, 24/7, 365, she has to take care of this child, because the child is totally paralyzed, vision impaired. We don't even know if the child can hear. So it's almost like we will say in America, the child is a vegetable. at this point.
Yeah.
It's
So
sad.
we're going to be moving. We're going to be moving to the next topic and just talk on it briefly since we're running out of time. And then, Winnie, I think you've made a point that vaccines are great methods to prevent illnesses, but they also have side effects. Most of the side effects are mild, just for one
Yeah.
or 2 days, but there are some of those that are really life-changing side effects, like what this mother experienced with her daughter, her baby, and um, but in any case, prevention with vaccines, the benefits really outweigh the disadvantages of vaccination. So we're going to be moving to the next topic, unless you want to give a closing comment on this vaccination before we move on. We want to go to the next topic very briefly.
Uh, what I would say is, in general, 99% of the time, vaccines are very helpful. That will prevent your kids from getting sick. That 1% that may fall, it may be one in 100,000 or one in 500,000 cases that may happen. When it does happen, it can be terrible, just like you saw the mother crying. But it does that mother's situation does not mean that you stop your child from getting immunization, or we still just encourage that do it. That is the first first are most important. We had already talked about breastfeeding and other means that immunization, but those are called passive. Passive means that your own body did not produce it. The person getting it is getting it because somebody else's body produced it and they are using
Mhm.
it. And that wanes. It dies down quickly. It means it doesn't last too long in your body. So it will be good for each one of us to get our own vaccine as and there are, before I even leave that, there are some disease. We have what we call immunocompetent people getting vaccine and immunocompromised people getting vaccines. So if you fall in one of those categories, immunocompetent means you're healthy, you don't have any thing that may suppress your immune system and expose you to diseases easily. Why immunocompromised may mean you may have some conditions and other things that may make it difficult for you to fight diseases, and so you're considered immunocompromised. So there are different things. And some categories of people in the immunocompromised groups are people with transplant organs that they take what we call immunosuppressant medication, people with HIV, AIDS, and other things that may put them and make them immunocompromised. So their own schedule might be a little bit different. So, and the types of vaccines that they can get is also different. Most of the people in those categories, whether they have a spleen or they don't have a spleen, it just depends. There are some types of vaccines that they will exclude you from. And most of those immunocompromised people, it will be that you have the live vaccines may not be the ones that they want you to have. So I still encourage you, mothers, get your children vaccinated. Make sure the card is filled. Make sure they tell you what type of vaccines and what to expect after the vaccination in case something goes wrong. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Give me a moment. I dropped my phone. Let me get it. I was trying to stretch to get it, but I couldn't. Wish I had long legs. So the reason this topic now is coming up, cultural diversity, why I we thought that we should talk about it. Um, this flyer I came across this flyer about Dr. William Keir. Dr. William Keir is the brother of Reverend Keir, and he said, I will be speaking at the Forum for Cultural Diplomacy at the United Nations on Thursday, November 16th, 2023. My paper will be titled Achieving Peace in Cameroon Through Cultural Diplomacy. Cultural Diplomacy. So, I wanted us to just, we're running out of time. So this is probably a subject that we may engage next time, because we want to find out, can peace really come to Southern Cameroon's Ambazonia through cultural diplomacy? Uh, Mawini, I know we've used the word cultural diversity, cultural diplomacy, and we've interchanged it, but I don't know whether you want to start this conversation by just briefly explaining what cultural diversity is and then what cultural diplomacy is.
Okay. Cultural diversity is just the existence of variety of cultures together coexisting, or ethnic groups within a society. Um, um, for example, let me use us in Ambazonia. We are not, we as blacks are considered one ethnic group. But even though we are one ethnic group considered black race, we are literally have different tribes. And in our tribes, each tribe has its own way of doing things, its beliefs, the things that they do within each tribal culture, or within each tribe, that gives them a unique culture. It's how they will act, how they do, whether they perform marriages, birth ceremonies, or how they handle death celebrations, and how they worship, whether it's their ancestral worship, or what kind of whatever how they do, that builds into what they call their own culture. We may be blacks all by race, but we may have tribes, and even in the tribes, we may have other variations within each tribe. So that is a diversity. A good example: we live and grew up in Ambazonia. We had Hausa quarter. We had some called Meta quarters. We we had Bamileki quarters or Basa quarters. That is subgroups living in the enlarged community, that they have congregated, or they have an area that is known and common to people of that background. So we've lived with cultural diversity growing up all our lives. We have the Bororo Fulanis, we have the Hausas, we have even the Bamilekes, and we have the Bassas, especially when UPS had their own crisis in La République de Cameroon, and they fled into our area. We gave them, embraced them, and gave them and provided for them shelter, and they stayed. And when they stayed, they remained, and they formed their own little groups of where they came from. And we have lived with them all this while, and they have lived with us. But the issue of cultural diverse diplomacy is a whole different game. I'm glad you said that this is the brother of Bishop Nkia. So this is another one of those backdoor deals. The brother probably has the let me say, he has the credential probably to be given that position in the United Nations to say what he has to say. But prior to us even joining La République, or prior to independence, we had already existed into subcultural groups that we coexisted. If you wanted to even look at who is causing us more problems within our culture of Ambazonia, it's La République. Take Moja Moja, what he preaches and sends, and the messages he said, oh, get all these people, this Cam No Go, Cam No whatever. Who is Cam No Go? Are you talking about the Bamileke and the Bassas that came during the UPC? Or are you talking about your own brothers and sisters of the what you may call Savannah or Midland zone that came to help work in the plantations? and they were hardworking. Who are you talking about? So the whole issue of cultural diplomacy is a farce for me. Because to be honest, even prior to independence, we had the House of Chiefs. This House of Chiefs was a representation of the chiefs coming in with their own, bringing in their own cultural influence, and as they talked in that house to see how they could do things that would be that would improve the lives of our the British Southern Cameroonians at the time, in light of having their culture. They embraced that and they were able to do that. But who are the chiefs that we have today? The funds and the chiefs. Who are they? Most of them are on La République's payroll, and they dance to the bidding of La République, and they are no longer the custodian of the people's culture, but rather the the let me call the middleman or the slave. They are dancing and being sent by the slave master, and they are there to ensure that they push the agenda of the slave master on the masses. So in order to really look at this, it is not the diversity that we have, because we've always lived in a diverse culture. Think about us going to secondary school. We had different clubs that had people interested, and we also had, even in the school, small different clubs. When we were having competitions from primary school even to secondary school, you had some dances. You say, hey, this dance, that dance. Even in the churches, we had choirs that represent different ethnic groups. You have Hallelujah choir, you have Igbo choir, you have this, you have a Douala or whatever choir. So you had all those were all already representing the diversity that we had in our culture, that was embraced even all the way to the church. But does that diversity that we enjoyed or we celebrated in those communities, does it negate, or is it a problem to our people? No. What problem to our people is the fact that we have an oppressive regime that, instead of sitting at the point of Southern Cameroons having its independence, draw a constitution and respect the terms of what was supposed to be in that constitution. It never happened. La République brought its own constitution. Our House of Assembly never ratified. They had a constitution that was passed before even we could join them, and they brought it and imposed it on us. So we never sat to have the terms. And even the federation that was supposed to be a federated state, and where they said the state of the government was never going to change. It's been changed over and over and over, even from federation to unity, then back to what they were before, which means we have finally absorbed you, we've assimilated you, you have no voice, you are now the second class citizen in our relationship. But that's not the case. We know who we are and we know what we left. It is not cultural diversity diplomacy that's going to work. What they are saying in this, my patients, is that let's bribe the chiefs and the funds and the religious leaders and use them as instruments to turn them towards La République du Cameroon. That is, to me, the underlying message. It cannot bring peace. It was not the church that forfeited or caused the problem. It was not the indigenous cultural groups that caused the problem. It is a political problem. It is an international problem, and it is a diplomatic problem that Britain failed to participate. The UN failed to participate in this process, and La République and France, La République de Cameroon and France took advantage of the fact that our people had no support on their side to do what they were doing. That is why the High Commissioner of
Mawini,
the British, yes.
I want to
You don't
stop you
start.
right there, because I want to read something that will probably fire you more up. It says that cultural diplomacy is all about building bridges. It's about understanding one another better, narrowing the gaps between our culture, and creating stronger ties between countries by sharing and celebrating our arts, cultures, and education. So, are you saying that La Republique and Ambazonia cannot narrow the bridge by understanding each other better and living as one and indivisible country?
For, for 60 something years, it didn't happen because the foundation was not there. It was broken foundation, faulty foundation. So how can you, in good faith, work on, let me use this, the culture of sports is what has been used. Oh, let's go play soccer and play football and
Mhm,
play this.
mhm,
And then we'll bring the people together and they will celebrate and it will be. But then you go back the next day, you write a
mhm,
law, you strategize, and you release your military to go burn houses, shoot people. How did that experience there change the government and the people that make these kinds of laws that destroy and kill and commit genocide? How did that stop them? It did not. Some of this sometimes is a facade. Hitler did some of this. Hitler did that. Say, okay, we will allow this. We'll allow this. They have an opera or they have something. Maybe okay. Let's allow it to give the impression that everything is going well and everything is fine. While he is there advancing and occupying different countries in Europe and kept marching forward. But then he wants this. Most of these are being used for
mhm.
propaganda
Yeah.
to push out an agenda, and that agenda is one and indivisible. Oh, one and indivisible agenda of what?
Mhm.
You are the one, and yes, La Republique is one and indivisible. Let them go back to the boundaries that they had at independence. They are one and indivisible there. We had our independence separately. So we can stay with our one and our own indivisible, one and indivisible on this other side with our international boundaries. They can have theirs there. And if they do need to separate their countries and divide their countries, they can go slug that out by themselves. But we are a different people.
So, in the final analysis, Mawini, every tactic that has been used to keep us one and indivisible has failed. They've gone to Canada. They decided to leave the Swiss talks, went to Canada, and that has shown no results. Um, what is your message if the international community was listening now? Because we're going to be ending soon. What is your message? Because they're listening to all these people that come to the United Nations and make present papers on things that are not relevant, that cannot help our situation. What is your message in terms of the only viable thing that can provide a sustainable solution, long-term solution to what we currently know as the war in Ambazonia? You know, right now you have Palestine and Israel, you have Ukraine and Russia, and you have Ambazonia and La République du Cameroon. Every people want their own sovereignty. So, what is the take-home message that La Republique, the international community should learn, and the people of La Republique also should learn, and all Ambazonians should know that will be the only thing that will end all this killing of our people and make people who are diversely, culturally diverse, to live in their own boundaries as a people and live in peace, and we have good neighbors with La Republic. What's your take home message?
The first thing I would want to say is what is good for the goose is also good for the gander. If the oppression, the aggression of Russia on Ukraine is not right by international laws, the oppression and full outright trying to assimilate the people of southern Cameroon, former British or called West Cameroon, by a larger community called La République du Cameroun is also not right. Um, there is enough blame to be shared around, whether it's the British, how they abandoned us quickly, or the United Nations, how they did not frame, they were independence. If by their rules of what independence was supposed to be given, they actually defined it and said the economic condition or the size of the population was not a reason to deny a people their rights to sovereignty and self-actualization. But when it came to us, they said we were not viable. How could we not have been viable when we had plantations and we were exporting so much and we were even sustaining northern Cameroons by what was being produced in southern Cameroons? So, this is my appeal to you. If you want to be honest and you want to be true and make your international um, let me say, importance or relevance be seen and taken seriously by the youth of Africa and the people of Africa, and not just dealing with the elites and the puppets that have been put in power by some so-called special interest groups to keep them in power and maintain them for their own personal interests or the interests of some other groups outside of the continent of Africa. Then look into the issue of the people of La République de Cameroon and the people of Southern Cameroons, now called AKA Ambazonia. Look into that. I applaud the fact that we had a Swiss-led process. Unfortunately, the people that killed that Swiss-led process, as was stated, it was supposed to be a process without preconditions and going into the root causes. When La République du Cameroon pulled out and tried to force its own agenda through manipulation and through bribery and through conniving with the people that they saw were the weak and vulnerable in the struggle, that they thought they had no integrity, that they could. La République, my patients would try to get you and I if they thought they could get us and we were weak enough to do something. But guess what? International community, whole La République du Cameroon, they are a nation that is the one that sits and have a seat in the United Nations. I know France has a veto power, but France cannot continue to operate the way they operate in sub-Saharan Africa and keep us down. Let me be frank. The truth is, all these other Francophone countries have been able to come up and stand up strongly and even broken out of the grips of France, not just because Russia is there, not just because China is there, but because they could see that the people of Ambazonia could stand their grounds, resist La République and France for all this year, and nothing could be done, and they could not even they could not win, and they will not win, and they will never win, because it is inherent in us. We know the rights that we have. It is our land. We had a nation. We are a people. We have a land. What they have denied us is our sovereignty, and we need that restored. And for us to part our ways in peace. So all these colonial administrators that are put in by La République are there, is that they need to withdraw their colonial administrators. They need to withdraw their military people, bring them, and let's sit on the table. Let's talk. And let's talk without preconditions. Let's separate and go our ways peaceably, amicably, and become good neighbors. International community, don't pull back, don't pretend like it doesn't exist, and don't sweep it under the carpet. And I would say, all the people passing in that who have access to come stand there and talk to you are the people, most of them are compromised. Most of them are people that um, are pulling in, they are not objective and they are not neutral. They are people that have an agenda. And in that agenda, the agenda is to get La Republique to remain it's one and indivisible and add the people of Ambazonia into their one and indivisible. But it will not stand.
It will not stand indeed, because every people that have fought for their sovereignty eventually get it. So we are on the right track. Ambazonia will be free eventually. We just pray that it happens sooner than later, because of all the killings that are taking place. And we have people that
Less
are
life.
just losing lives unnecessarily. So we're going to have you give your closing remarks. I just want to thank you so much for being on the horizon, the voice of the Amber Woman. You've shared a lot of information about immunization, vaccination, and just your final closing remarks, and then we'll end the show for today.
Thank you again for having me. Every Ambazonia mother, thank you. I will continue to encourage you. Keep having the babies, but keep taking care of the babies. And if and when, as much as possible, breastfeed your baby. You'll give them some passive immunity. And when you take them to the hospital or the what I don't know whether they still call it PMI. It used to be called PMI when I was growing up. If they have those centers, that those health centers where they see pregnant women and children, young children for well child check. That's the terminology we use here. Then um, make sure that they get the vaccine. But ask the question: if your child is sick or had been sick in the past week before you get there, tell them my child was recently sick. I don't think we'll be taking this vaccine now. Will come another time. But you can do all the check, the measurement of their growth and other what. But vaccine will hold off till they are fully well. Then we'll bring them back for the vaccines. And then as ask questions. Don't be intimidated. Unfortunately, my patients, I know that some of the staff and the workers in some of these health facility do not speak the language of our people. Again, part
That's
of
another
this
problem.
assimilation process. So the
Mhm.
communication is difficult. They have people that speak French and don't know how to speak a pidgin, neither can they speak English. And even if they try, it's some broken form that even confuses our mothers who or fathers who may be taking their children and may not be so versed in French, and neither are they versed in the kind of broken language that they are putting. So please, we need more of our own people to be in those health centers. Please stop moving people around and sending our people because you know that their skills are good and you want to push them
Mhm.
into the areas where you lack. Yes, they can go train, but our people need to be back taking care of our own people. And we need people with good consciences and good more professional ethics and good
Mhm.
ethical background where when they say, I'm giving you um, 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 polio vaccine, it is polio vaccine and not something
Mhm.
else. And when we say
And
you
not
pay
and
for
not
this
expired.
vaccine,
Mhm.
and it's not expired. My patients, something may not be expired, but depending on how they handled it, most of our vaccines need to be what we say cold chain. It means from where
Mhm.
it is manufactured to when it gets to the patient, it has to remain cold because it needs
Mhm.
to be refrigerated. And most of the times, we don't have electricity back at home. So how do they keep those cold chain ongoing? So we can see we have a lot of gaps in the places. Do they have generators that will auto come on and make sure that the refrigerators where they store this vaccine? Some are under freezer conditions, some are under a refrigeration. And if they don't have, so please, parents, ask questions. Don't be intimidated. It is your right. It is your child. It is your own life as well. So I will want to leave you guys all with the fact that remain healthy by eating right, eating good food. I'm proud of our people. We eat a lot of fresh food and we cook from scratch with fresh
Mhm.
stuff. We most of the things that we would dry are things because of the time in the dry season when we no longer have fresh fruits and vegetables. But many people have learned to go by streams to grow those things. Eat right and get the prevention, number one, prevention, so we minimize illness. Thank you. And when next I come back, that will be fine. Thank you. I appreciate
Thank,
everyone
thank you.
watching.
Thank you so much, Dr. Lubadi. You mentioned that we should have this conversation continue where we have medical doctors come and talk about the diseases themselves that we're trying to prevent. And I think that's a good suggestion. So arrange that with some of our doctors in the house. I want to seize this opportunity to thank everybody watching. I know we started a little bit late and we've dragged on a little bit longer than we normally do. We appreciate you. This is the voice of the Amber Woman, and we try to connect with you every Friday, God willing, and hopefully to see you next week. If things go on as planned, we should have another exciting program next Friday. So in the meantime, do what you can do to stay safe, be smart about your environment. When you see something, say something, because the recent killing that took place in Manfe, somebody saw something. May not have had enough time to say something, but somebody saw something. So please just pay attention to your environs so that we don't continue crying every month or every 2 months or every 3 months about our people being killed by somebody who thinks we can be one. The line has already been drawn on the sand that La République and Southern Cameroons will only coexist as good neighbors. And if this killing continues, then there will neither be peace, there will be no peace in either territory. With that said, I want to wish you a good weekend and thank you always for respecting Country Sunday, and long live the Federal Republic of Ambazonia, short live the struggle. God bless you all.
Fellow Ambazonians, NACD give a 21 gun salute to all ARF home front. And we come to now today with this very important announcement, especially for ARF from Meme County. Lot of complaints don't come to the ANC from Kombone town, from Bonge LGA, about a certain fringe element where they call it Black Bat. Make I repeat the name again. They call the person by the name of Black Bat. This particular element, they go around with arms. They terrorize the citizens for Kombone village. And from we investigations, it is shows that from the beginning of this year till now, it never killed less than 10 of we civilians. Make I repeat, from the beginning of this year till now, it never killed less than 10 of we civilians. And for this period, it never go after the terrorists from La République du Cameroon, where we investigation don't show we say they collaborate and work with the sole aim for turn with civilian population against the struggle. As of this announcement, as I make this announcement now, Black Bat get with civilians and for inside in captivity. It gets civilians, we don't capture them, keep them, they torture them. And we send this announcement to you right now. They give you 6 hours. 6 for release every captive we get them with it. All make it release them with immediate effect. We do the monitoring from the time when they will notify us of the atrocities. And we want them for tell with ARF say their first and foremost responsibility now for safeguard the lives of civilians. So when it comes to terrorism like this one, where they need to live with people, them get peace for inside their own towns and villages. Not their responsibility for deal with these terrorists and La République collaborator, where they call them Black Bat, for safeguard with innocent civilians their lives and see say make peace return back to Kompone village from Bonge LGA. Once more, make it be absolutely clear here. Say Black Bat be given 6 hours for return each and every captive. We get them back to their families. Make the ARF, make they take note and make they act accordingly. This one that is spokesman for the ANC signing out today, the 17th of November 2023. Short live the revolution, long live the Federal Republic of Ambazonia. Ambazonians, NACD give a 21 gun salute to all ARF home front. And we come to now today with this very important announcement, especially for ARF from Meme County. Lot of complaints don't come to the ANC from Kombone town, from Bonge LGA, about a certain fringe element where they call it Black Bat. Make I repeat the name again. They call the person by the name of Black Bat. This particular element, they go around with arms. They terrorize the citizens for Kombone village. And from we investigations, it is shows that from the beginning of this year till now, it never killed less than 10 of we civilians. Make I repeat, from the beginning of this year till now, it never killed less than 10 of we civilians. And for this period, it never go after the terrorists from La Republic du Cameroon, where we investigation don't show we say it they collaborate and they work with the sole aim for turn with civilian population against the struggle. As of this announcement, as I make this announcement now, Black Bat get with civilians and for inside in captivity. It gets civilians, we don't capture them, keep them, they torture them. And we send this announcement to you right now. They give you 6 hours. 6 for release every captive we get them with it. All make it release them with immediate effect. We do the monitoring from the time when they will notify us of atrocities. And we want them for tell with ARF say their first and foremost responsibility now for safeguard the lives of civilians. So when it come to terrorism like this one, where they need to live with people, them get peace for inside their own towns and villages. Not their responsibility for deal with these terrorists and La Republic collaborator, where they call them Black Bat, for safeguard with innocent civilians their lives and see say make peace return back to Kompone village from Bonge LGA. Once more, make it be absolutely clear here. Say Black Bat be given 6 hours for return each and every captive. We get them back to their families. Make the ARF, make they take note and make they act accordingly. This one that is spokesman for the ANC signing out today, the 17th of November 2023. Short live the revolution, long live the Federal Republic of Ambazonia. Fellow Ambazonians, NACD give a 21 gun salute to all ARF home front. And we come to now today with this very important announcement, especially for ARF from Meme County. Lot of complaints don't come to the ANC from Kombone town, from Bonge LGA, about a certain fringe element where they call it Black Bat. Make I repeat the name again. They call the person by the name of Black Bat. This particular element, they go around with arms. They terrorize the citizens for Kombone village. And from we investigations, it is shows that from the beginning of this year till now, it never killed less than 10 of we civilians. Make I repeat, from the beginning of this year till now, it never killed less than 10 of we civilians. And for this period, it never go after the terrorists from La Republic du Cameroon, where we investigation don't show we say it they collaborate and they work with the sole aim for turn with civilian population against the struggle. As of this announcement, as I make this announcement now, Black Bat get with civilians and for inside in captivity. It gets civilians, we don't capture them, keep them, they torture them. And we send this announcement to you right now. They give you 6 hours. 6 for release every captive we get them with it. All make it release them with immediate effect. We do the monitoring from the time when they will notify us of atrocities. And we want them for tell with ARF say their first and foremost responsibility now for safeguard the lives of civilians. So when it come to terrorism like this one, where they need to live with people, them get peace for inside their own towns and villages. Not their responsibility for deal with these terrorists and La Republic collaborator, where they call them Black Bat, for safeguard with innocent civilians their lives and see say make peace return back to Kompone village from Bonge LGA. Once more, make it be absolutely clear here. Say Black Bat be given 6 hours for return each and every captive. We get them back to their families. Make the ARF, make they take note and make they act accordingly. This one that is spokesman for the ANC signing out today, the 17th of November 2023. Short live the revolution, long live the Federal Republic of Ambazonia. Fellow Ambazonians, NACD give a 21 gun salute to all ARF home front. And we come to now today with this very important announcement, especially for ARF from Meme County. Lot of complaints don't come to the ANC from Kombone town, from Bonge LGA, about a certain fringe element where they call it Black Bat. Make I repeat the name again. They call the person by the name of Black Bat. This particular element, it go around with arms. They terrorize the citizens them for Kombone village. And from we investigations, it is shows that from the beginning of this year till now, it never killed less than 10 of we civilians. Make I repeat, from the beginning of this year till now, it never killed less than 10 of we civilians. And for this period, it never go after the terrorists from La Republic to Cameroon, where we investigation don't show we say it they collaborate and they work with the sole aim for turn with civilian population against the struggle. As of this announcement, as I make this announcement now, Black Bat get with civilians and for inside in captivity. It gets civilians where don't capture them, keep them, they torture them. And we send this announcement to you right now. They give you 6 hours. 6 for release every captive we get them with it. All make it release them with immediate effect. We do the monitoring from the time where they will notify us of atrocities. And we want them to tell with ARF say their first and foremost responsibility now for safeguard the lives of civilians. So when it comes to terrorism like this one, where they need to live with people, them get peace for inside their own towns and villages. Not their responsibility for deal with this terrorist and La Republic collaborator, where they call them Black Bat, for safeguard with innocent civilians their lives and see say make peace return back to Kompone village from Bonge LGA. Once more, make it be absolutely clear here. Say Black Bat be given 6 hours for return each and every captive. We get them back to their families. Make the ARF, make they take note and make they act accordingly. This one that the spokesman for the ANC signing out today, the 17th of November 2023. Short live the revolution, long live the Federal Republic of Ambazonia. Fellow Ambazonians, NACD give a 21 gun salute to all ARF home front. And we come to now today with this very important announcement, especially for ARF from Meme County. Lot of complaints don't come to the ANC from Kombone town, from Bonge LGA, about a certain fringe element where they call it Black Bat. Make I repeat the name again. They call the person by the name of Black Bat. This particular element, it go around with arms. They terrorize the citizens them for Kombone village. And from we investigations, it is shows that from the beginning of this year till now, it never killed less than 10 of we civilians. Make I repeat, from the beginning of this year till now, it never killed less than 10 of we civilians. And for this period, it never go after the terrorists from La Republic to Cameroon, where we investigation don't show we say it they collaborate and they work with the sole aim for turn with civilian population against the struggle. As of this announcement, as I make this announcement now, Black Bat get with civilians and for inside in captivity. It gets civilians where don't capture them, keep them, they torture them. And we send this announcement to you right now. They give you 6 hours. 6 for release every captive we get them with it. All make it release them with immediate effect. We do the monitoring from the time where they will notify us of atrocities. And we want them to tell with ARF say their first and foremost responsibility now for safeguard the lives of civilians. So when it comes to terrorism like this one, where they need to live with people, them get peace for inside their own towns and villages. Not their responsibility for deal with this terrorist and La Republic collaborator, where they call them Black Bat, for safeguard with innocent civilians their lives and see say make peace return back to Kompone village from Bonge LGA. Once more, make it be absolutely clear here. Say Black Bat be given 6 hours for return each and every captive. We get them back to their families. Make the ARF, make they take note and make they act accordingly. This one that the spokesman for the ANC signing out today, the 17th of November 2023. Short live the revolution, long live the Federal Republic of Ambazonia. Fellow Ambazonians, NACD give a 21 gun salute to all ARF home front. And we come to now today with this very important announcement, especially for ARF from Meme County. Lot of complaints don't come to the ANC from Kombone town, from Bonge LGA, about a certain fringe element where they call it Black Bat. Make I repeat the name again. They call the person by the name of Black Bat. This particular element, it go around with arms. They terrorize the citizens for Kombone village. And from we investigations, it is shows that from the beginning of this year till now, it never killed less than 10 of we civilians. Make I repeat, from the beginning of this year till now, it never killed less than 10 of we civilians. And for this period, it never go after the terrorists from La Republic du Cameroon, where we investigation don't show we say it they collaborate and work with the sole aim for turn with civilian population against the struggle. As of this announcement, as I make this announcement now, Black Bat get with civilians and for inside in captivity. It gets civilians we don't capture them, keep them, they torture them. And we send this announcement to you right now. They give you 6 hours. 6 for release every captive we get them with it. All make it release them with immediate effect. We did the monitoring from the time when they will notify us of atrocities. And we want them for tell with ARF say their first and foremost responsibility now for safeguard the lives of civilians. So when it come to terrorism like this one, where they need to live with people, them get peace for inside their own towns and villages. Not their responsibility for deal with these terrorists and La Republic collaborator, where they call them Black Bat, for safeguard with innocent civilians their lives and see say make peace return back to Kompone village from Bonge LGA. Once more, make it be absolutely clear here. Say Black Bat be given 6 hours for return each and every captive. We get them back to their families. Make the ARF, make they take note and make they act accordingly. This one that the spokesman for the ANC signing out today, the 17th of November 2023. Short live the revolution, long live the Federal Republic of Ambazonia. Fellow Ambazonians, NACD give a 21 gun salute to all ARF home front. And we come to now today with this very important announcement, especially for ARF from Meme County. Lot of complaints don't come to the ANC from Kombone town, from Bonge LGA, about a certain fringe element where they call it Black Bat. Make I repeat the name again. They call the person by the name of Black Bat. This particular element, it go around with arms. They terrorize the citizens for Kombone village. And from we investigations, it is shows that from the beginning of this year till now, it never killed less than 10 of we civilians. Make I repeat, from the beginning of this year till now, it never killed less than 10 of we civilians. And for this period, it never go after the terrorists from La Republic du Cameroon, where we investigation don't show we say it they collaborate and work with the sole aim for turn with civilian population against the struggle. As of this announcement, as I make this announcement now, Black Bat get with civilians and for inside in captivity. It gets civilians we don't capture them, keep them, they torture them. And we send this announcement to you right now. They give you 6 hours. 6 for release every captive we get them with it. All make it release them with immediate effect. We did the monitoring from the time when they will notify us of atrocities. And we want them for tell with ARF say their first and foremost responsibility now for safeguard the lives of civilians. So when it come to terrorism like this one, where they need to live with people, them get peace for inside their own towns and villages. Not their responsibility for deal with these terrorists and La Republic collaborator, where they call them Black Bat, for safeguard with innocent civilians their lives and see say make peace return back to Kompone village from Bonge LGA. Once more, make it be absolutely clear here. Say Black Bat be given 6 hours for return each and every captive. We get them back to their families. Make the ARF, make they take note and make they act accordingly. This one that the spokesman for the ANC signing out today, the 17th of November 2023. Short live the revolution, long live the Federal Republic of Ambazonia. Fellow Ambazonians, NACD give a 21 gun salute to all ARF home front. And we come to now today with this very important announcement, especially for ARF from Meme County. Lot of complaints don't come to the ANC from Kombone Town, from Bonge LGA, about a certain fringe element where they call it Black Bat. Make I repeat the name again. They call the person by the name of Black Bat. This particular element, they go around with arms. They terrorize the citizens for Kombone village. And from we investigations, it is shows that from the beginning of this year till now, it never killed less than 10 of we civilians. Make I repeat, from the beginning of this year till now, it never killed less than 10 of we civilians. And for this period, it never go after the terrorists from La Republique du Cameroon, where we investigation don't show we say they collaborate and work with the sole aim for turn with civilian population against the struggle. As of this announcement, as I make this announcement now, Black Bat get with civilians and for inside in captivity. It gets civilians we don't capture them, keep them, they torture them. And we send this announcement to you right now. They give you 6 hours. 6 for release every captive we get them with it. All make it release them with immediate effect. We did the monitoring from the time when they will notify us of the atrocities. And we want them for tell with ARF say their first and foremost responsibility now for safeguard the lives of civilians. So when it comes to terrorism like this one, where they need to live with people, them get peace for inside their own towns and villages. Not their responsibility for deal with these terrorists and La Republique collaborator, where they call them Black Bat, for safeguard with innocent civilians their lives and see say make peace return back to Kombone village from Bonge LGA. Once more, make it be absolutely clear here. Say Black Bat be given 6 hours for return each and every captive. We get them back to their families. Make the ARF, make they take note and make they act accordingly. This one that is spokesman for the ANC signing out today, the 17th of November 2023. Short live the revolution, long live the Federal Republic of Ambazonia.